So, David, let's start here. You've heard of the story, a synagogue and leaders, they're having a Zoom call, a prayer meeting with members of their religious following, and suddenly hijackers break into this Zoom call video hosting room. They're shouting slurs, they're showing just terrible images. The shock and the negative off from this has been felt on levels of our level of policing. The FBI has gotten involved. My question to you is, how could something like this happen, hijacking a video conference room?
Yeah, so Sheldon, absolutely. First of all, thanks for having me. And this is very unfortunate incident. And due to COVID-19 situation, many people moved to work remotely or communicating with their loved ones or friends and family with devices like Zoom. And eventually, there are a couple of things that we need to address here. Many times, those are users that actually using it for first time and misconfiguring the system, and as a result, system is not perfect. Zoom had huge spike in the amount of users due to the situation, and they are trying hard to fix it, but they are playing catch-up game, and eventually having people that introduce to new technology, and it's not perfect. People that trying to cause to this kind of disarray, taking advantage of that, and this is the result.
Wow. Is there a tech? What can people do though? Or even before we get that, how do people prevent this from happening? Someone could say, well, I put together a video conference. I invited the members. I want to be there, but somehow an outsider is able to break through that safety wall. How does that happen? Is it just because they extended the invitation too far? How does someone break in, hijack a video conference room?
So let me break it to two parts. There are some issues that Zoom had, and they actually trying hard, like I mentioned before, to fix it. But there are some small and simple configurations that we actually can recommend to users, and for example, not to allow people to join before the host, or not to allow people that kicked out to rejoin, because it's a simple configuration in the system that comes as a default that all these activities are allowed. And as a result, it comes Zoom jacking or Zoom bombing. These guys are able to come into not their calls and cause for the mess like you described before.
And you brought up really right into my next kind of question inquiry on this, the phrase Zoom bombing. For our viewers watching, what is Zoom bombing?
So I think your first example that you gave, it's exactly it. It's people that are not invited to the party, just barging in, posting different negative comments. In some cases, posting pornography, and we see a lot of organizations actually barring their employees from using Zoom from for work purposes because of these situations. There are cybersecurity concerns that, again, I brought it to two parts. One, Zoom trying to fix it, and the second is configuration, but there are also privacy concerns. And again, those I can break to two parts. In some cases, people are, it's a new tool for all of us, and people just putting backgrounds that may be publishing a bit too much information. People need to pay attention how they dressed, where they're taking mobile devices that they're zooming in with. By the way, zoom it's a new verb. People are zooming with. Mm-hmm. So, and of course, from a Zoom bombing perspective as well, once people sharing a lot of sensitive information and third party can join in and listen, it can be a concern.
Wow, David, you've given a lot to think about. So for those who are watching who are looking for safety, ensure you join those video conference streams before guests do. Ensure you take note of where you're zooming from so your background doesn't give too much personal information for people to take for themselves. Wow, we're going to put a lot more on our site here so people can take that away. But David Chernitzky, co-founder of Armor Cybersecurity, thank you so much for joining me. Thank you so much for your time.
Sheldon, thanks for having me. It's a pleasure as always. And I hope everyone will be having more safe Zoom sessions from now on. Thank you very much.
Yes, thank you so much. We'll talk soon. Take care.